Biden doesn't need a bill to fix the border. He just refuses to enforce the law. All right, we're going to do a deep dive on some of this border stuff. We've already kind of done a couple episodes on this guy. Biden's out there, and he's trying to pull the most masterful spin we've ever seen anyone pull ever. Listen, I want the border closed just as much as the next guy. And I would have closed the border 3 whole years ago. Even I can admit now that this is a problem. And guess what? We've been trying to work on this. We've been trying to do the reform, and nobody's given us the authority to do so. So we're going to take a look at that. Wouldn't it be amazing? And this might be like a hack premise, but wouldn't it be amazing if you worked at a job where it's like there was another team that existed just to undermine what you were doing? So every single time your initiative failed, you could be like, well, listen, I've been trying to fix this thing for 3 years, but Jim's team has been undermining me the entire time. Isn't that amazing to work at a company where it's constant color war and there's your team and their team? And I guess the two teams never work together. So whenever something's not working out, you get to go, well, Jim's team was undermining my efforts since the beginning. Doesn't matter how wrong you are. And then the other team, Jim's team, gets to come around and go, well, it was Rob's team. This whole time we could have gotten that done, but Rob's team. Isn't that like one of like the fatal flaws of the entire democracy is the team sports of it, that whatever goes wrong, they can all, it was that guy. I was here the whole time. I was trying to solve this thing, but that guy got in the way. So here you have Biden, and he's saying, I would have taken care of this border. I would have loved to have taken care of this border. I love building walls even more than Donald Trump. Donald Trump, you think that guy likes building walls? You think he's a builder? You should see what me and Hunter can do. Hunter's an artist, for God's sakes. You don't think he can put together designs? You don't think we would like to just put down a giant canvas that Hunter could go down there and paint so it looked beautiful? We love walls even more than the Republicans do, but we just don't have the authority to put it up. So that's the most recent lie. That's the spin that they're trying to throw at us, trying to reinvent history, make it seem to us like this entire administration, they've been doing everything they can to keep people from pouring over our border. So this was an opinion article from the New York Post that I think made some good points. So let's give it a read. Border Patrol agents in December nabbed nearly 250,000 illegal immigrants at the southern border. And that's the people they nabbed, okay? Or even processed to say that they nabbed. Forget all the people that they just drive to locations. They don't even need to process them. And almost immediately cut more than 191,000 of them loose, allowing them to remain in the country perhaps forever. Most of the rest will probably be released too. Foreign nationals make an economic choice when considering whether to pay smugglers thousands of dollars if they believe they'll recoup that down payment by working here, where wages are much higher. They'll come. Detained aliens can't work, but the vast majority know they won't be detained. The administration complains it lacks detention resources, but instead of asking Congress for more funding, the president has repeatedly sought fewer detention beds in his annual budget requests. Granted, holding all those illegal immigrants would be expensive, but only initially. Once immigrants realized they wouldn't be released, the vast majority wouldn't come. Detention was the rule throughout the Obama and Trump administrations when illegal entries were a fraction of what they are today. Now, I take a step back, I look at this, and I think, hey, this has been intentional. Biden's been trying to get as many people into the country as he can, and then your conspiracy brain can go wherever your conspiracy brain wants to go. Are they trying to, are the Republicans even in on this? Someone made a good point. I called someone with an intelligence background. Doesn't that sound sexy? I called someone with an intelligence background and they said, hey, listen, this might not be such a loss for all these Democrat cities who are crying that they've got a problem on their hands, because down the line, when they do the census and all of a sudden they got more individuals there, they might actually boost their hold on government by getting more congressional seats and more budget. I hadn't even thought of that about that. Very interesting. The other conspiracy theory is they're going to need a new army. When they create central bank digital currencies, they start telling us that we can't eat meat, and your neighbor's not going to turn on you and tell you, hey, listen, fatso, that's too many hamburgers. I got to knock on your door and take away all your meat now. But some recent Mexican guy might. He doesn't have the same affinity to you and the burger that you want to eat. That's the conspiracy number 2. Conspiracy number 3 is you give the amnesty to all these people and they'll vote for you forever. All right. You got all sorts of conspiracies as to why he's sneaking people over the border, but it seems to me like this entire thing has been intentional. Now, this gives him the benefit of the doubt. It just says that it was a dumb policy, but he says that essentially allowing people in not detaining them, processing them quickly has created a negative consequence in that it incentivizes people to come into the country because they know that they can get in and that there'll be opportunities to work, which makes it worth it for them to take the risk. As opposed to if we made it more difficult, we didn't process as many people in, then they wouldn't all be like, hey, this is my one shot to get into the country. All right, let's continue. Even if Congress refused to pony up detention cash, the president already has the power to send illegal immigrants back across the border to wait their asylum hearings. Donald Trump used that authority when crafting Remain in Mexico, and Biden retains that power. He just won't use it. This is also a speech from Mike Johnson, who gave a decent breakdown of all the things Biden has done historically over the last couple of years that have made this situation worse. So as Biden tries to claim, hey, listen, this whole time I wanted a border wall as much as the next guy. I've recognized this problem and the Republicans have got in my way. Well, here are some of the receipts, not all the receipts. I don't think it gets into all the policies. I think if you really wanted to do good journalism on this, you got to go down and you got to actually talk to the people that have been doing this for their entire career and ask them what has changed over the last couple of years. What is this new system where you just pardon people? How are you processing them? How many people are you keeping in these detention centers? What are areas of the border that used to be patrolled that you aren't being patrolled? And by the way, the government's got the ability to solve all these problems. You can run the math on how many more agents do we need, what's the cost, and instead of doing a Ukraine war, build a wall and do that. I don't think for 1 second that this is an unsolvable problem, as much as you've got Mayorkas, who we're going to talk about in a little bit, who seem to go to the Fauci School of Government for how to enact policies that are against everybody's interests and then just lie your way through it. These people are like me. If I continued to cheat, I should have stopped. Like, I cheated 6th, 7th, and 8th grade because I didn't like school. I sat down next to these two people that were good students. I cheated on them for everything. I got to high school. I stopped cheating. But you know what you need? You need people that never do their homework and always lie and always have good excuses. And then the CIA can recruit them and go perfect because government's going to pretend like there's something that it's doing in the future. And you're a great liar. You're exactly what we need. All right. Anyways, let's give a speech. This is Mike Johnson bringing some of the receipts for what Biden has done that has clearly incentivized people to come over the border.
Pass that if the Biden administration, if President Biden, by the stroke of a pen, would issue an executive order today to just simply reinstate Remain in Mexico, they think that that would stop the flow by 70%, 70. One stroke of a pen by the president. He does not seem to care. I told President Biden this myself on multiple occasions, most recently a couple of weeks ago on the phone. I read him the law that says that he has all this authority, but he refuses to act. And that's even despite court orders, by the way, that instructed the administration to reinstitute Remain in Mexico while the litigation was going on. You know what they did? They ignored it. The administration refused it. I can keep going. September 2022, the Biden administration reversed a 2019 DHS public charge rule. What was that about? They began granting entry to aliens who we know will be a burden to taxpayers to receive immigration benefits. This matters because it's one of many instances in which the Biden administration is actively incentivizing illegals to come to the United States. We have laid out the welcome mat. We told everybody around the world, come on, come on. You know what? The U.S. taxpayer will take care of you. You know how much it's costing you at home, the American people, all of our constituents? Billions and billions and billions of dollars to do what? To provide for people who are intentionally breaking our laws? Billions and billions of dollars to house them and educate them and clothe them and take care of them. Why should we bear that burden when they break our laws? That's what our constituents are asking. And more people are in this chamber need to be asking it as well. We're asking it on the House Republican side. We need our Democrat colleagues to join us. Instead of threatening illegal aliens with deportation, we're rolling out the welcome mat. We're including aliens who will drain resources. You know what? Here's the other tragedy. The resources, those precious taxpayer dollars, are intended for and paid by American citizens. But when you drain those resources and you spend them on illegals from other countries, you cannot take care of your own. It's a travesty. You can also see this with how DHS has abused the CBP One app, right? We've got an app. We've made it even easier now.
This one's
in January
important.
2023, they expanded the use of the app so aliens could just make appointments and then be released immediately right into America's interior. Sure enough, Guess what? 95% of all illegals who simply scheduled appointments through the app were released right into the United States on what they call parole. That's right. All you got to do, just download the app, because they all have smartphones, many of them coming over the border. Download the app, make.
So, in terms of Biden making this claim that he's been just as concerned about the border as anyone, he would love to be able to fix this situation. He just doesn't have the authority to do so. I don't have all of my homework done on this, but maybe down the line, some real journalism will be done. They'll talk to the people that work in ICE and all these other the border patrol, and maybe we'll get some sort of an understanding of the change in law. And that not only, I think, is there an increase in your ability to declare amnesty and getting rid of the remain in Mexico while they process your amnesty, but there seems to be some sort of an abuse of a parole process where I guess at the border, they get to parole you for, I guess, having entered illegally. And they seem to have made it even easier for people to take advantage of the parole process, as we're going to see in a video from Josh Hawley in a couple minutes, of people, I guess, making arrangements to declare amnesty while they're in Mexico, coming over the border, and then being paroled, and then just getting on buses with free tickets to, New York and other locations. All right, let's delve in a little bit deeper. And once again, for people first tuning into the live, we're doing a bit of a deep dive here to debunk Biden's claim that he doesn't have the authority to fix what's going on the border. Let's take a look at our next video here.
Pass that if the Biden administration.
Oh, so this was from Mike Johnson. He put out a number of instances. Some of them were soft. I didn't even read the whole thing. Some of them were like, all right, that doesn't seem that flagrant. That seems like you're trying to boost your numbers. Felt a little bit like when you read all the Donald Trump charges and they go 73 million charges and everything's just like a repeat of the exact same thing. But let's read a few of these, because I do think that it somewhat documents, well, clearly Biden changed policies that incentivize more people to come in. And to somehow blame the Republicans for the change in policies that he made that seem to be more accommodating of people pouring in over the border doesn't check out. Here we go. March 31st, 2021, the Department of Health and Human Services, HSS Office of Refuge Resettlement, issued guidance rolling back requirements for background checks on adults in households of a UAC sponsor. April 30th, 2021, the Biden administration canceled further wall construction, which was being led by the Department of Defense. June 15th, 2021, the Biden administration announced expansion of the Central American Minors Program, broadening the list of illegal aliens who can sponsor family members through the program, including illegal aliens who can claim asylum. June 16th, 2021, Attorney General Merrick Garland rescinded the Trump-era decision matter of LEA, thereby expanding asylum eligibility to allow nuclear or immediate family relationships to be treated as a particular social group. I swear to God, I can read pretty good. I just probably have to actually start wearing glasses when we do this. June 16th, 2021. Attorney Merrick Garland rescinded the Trump-era decision of matter ABI-2, thereby expanding asylum eligibility to include gender and domestic relationships, certain social groups, reverting to policy under in a matter of, I don't know what those letters are, July, but I drive a car late at night. July 2021, the United States Border Patrol released at least 50,000 aliens without giving a notice to appear a court date, instead of advising them to self-report to ICE. And the list continues, and you guys can go check it out. This was from Zero Hedge. I didn't delve into that, but this headline caught me because it fit the theme. 75% of House Democrats voted against deporting criminal migrants who commit Social Security fraud. The big fear over here is, hey, we have a lot of socialized programs over here. And if every time someone sneaks over the border, they get free schooling, they get free healthcare, the children get to be citizens, you're incentivizing more and more people to try and come over here and claim all these benefits. And so you would think you would try and prevent the abuse of claiming benefits as much as possible, because the American people who are paying for these things, they don't want people stealing it from them. So one of those things might be if you worked for your entire life for Social Security, and now you're trying to live off that Social Security check, which isn't great. It probably hasn't paced itself with inflation. If you could have kept your own money and invested it you probably would be doing better. Even if you just blew it on a nicer house, you'd probably be doing better. Sure, if you spent it on cigarettes and booze, you would have lost out. But if you put it in the market, or if you just spent more money on a nicer home to live in, you probably would be coming out ahead than the money that was stolen from you and forcibly invested with the government so that it could be returned to you at retirement. I'm sure there's some people that benefit from Social Security that put in less money than they get out. I bet in certain instances it's a safety net, but I bet for most of us, especially people my age, by the time we get to Social Security, you think they're still going to have it? Are you looking at your retirement plans and thinking, hey, I'm going to have Social Security? But here we go. 75% of House Democrats voted against deporting criminal migrants who commit Social Security fraud. That certainly sounds to me like it's going to incentivize more abuse of the system. Is that what we want? That sounds like you're going to incentivize more people trying to come in here because they know, oh, when I get to be an age, I can probably rig the system and file for Social Security. Now maybe I'm buying into Republican propaganda right now. Maybe there isn't a lot of abuse. Maybe they don't forecast a lot of abuse. Maybe they'll actually invest in making sure that there isn't. But do you guys remember what happened with those PPE loans? What did 50% of them go to fraud? And then the government, they had to shut down that program where you could where you could claim your credits. If you actually, this was a good program. If you kept your business going and you kept your employees going, they had a good tax incentive for doing so. And then they ended up with so many claims that they just had to shut it down. So do we think that the government's very good at processing these claims? Are they going to have a good handle on who actually deserves Social Security and who doesn't? I don't know to what extent Social Security fraud exists now, shoving grandma in a freezer and just printing those checks. The push to impeach Mayorkas proceeds. This is a weird one. Mayorkas, he's been the front of this thing. They've pulled him into Congress 1,000 times. He's like, I'm telling you, he's pure Fauci. Him and Fauci went to the same government school of how to enact bad programs on behalf of the deep state and some specific NGOs, profits, or other agendas, and just lie about it. And he's glorious at lying. I wouldn't agree with that question. I don't have a Mayorkas impression. Maybe we can work on it. It's hard not to just fall back into Fauci because he is a Fauci. He's a balder, uglier. I don't know that he's uglier, and bald is beautiful. So I'm not trying to knock the guy for being bald. What am I going to, of all things to knock the guy for? It's not going to be his beautiful bald head. But here was a video of Josh Hawley giving Mayorkas a hard time. Josh Hawley, by the way, I think he's the superstar of the Republicans. I could see him being in the next presidential race. He seems to fare the best when these people get on television to try and create spectacles and then don't do anything. That's it. They just come on television for a couple minutes. Is Fauci ever going to get in trouble for all the times he lied to Rand Paul about gain of function research? Probably not. And hopefully I timestamp this because I did my homework. I watched this video twice. I think I put the timestamp in because I think where this gets most interesting, hopefully it starts from there. I don't want to play the whole thing because it's about 11 minutes, but he does ask Mayorkas, what is the story with these apps that you seem to be allowing people to just make reservations of when they're going to come over the border, and then you just seem to be processing them into the country? How are you claiming that you guys would take care of this if you had the authority when you've clearly done all of these things at every step of the way to make it easier for people to come into the country and to incentivize more migration? Hopefully it starts from the right timestamp. Let's give it a listen.
What I hope
it
is a
does not.
simple
I'm going to
question.
just bounce
Do we
forward
need
and
to
hope
have more, or
because I think it was a couple minutes.
you don't have to be a member of a non-governmental organization. Anybody can download the app.
All right, let's start from here.
An urgent humanitarian reason. So instead of them coming in between the ports of entry to claim that urgent medical condition, that extraordinarily acute humanitarian cause, we allow a limited number to arrive at our ports of entry and seek the emergency relief that they need.
Schedule you allow them. Let's be particular about what you do.
And I should say that the CBP One app was not unveiled for the first time on January 5th of this year.
Oh no, but you changed it. You made it available on January 5th to the illegals themselves. You don't have to be a lawyer to use it. You don't have to be a member of a non-governmental organization. Anybody can download the app and use it on their phone. And for the first time, you allow them to schedule appointments. Now let's talk about what actually happens when they come to the border. It's interesting. You characterized this when you rolled it out as an application for applying for asylum, but nowhere on the app do you actually require the illegal migrants to apply for asylum or to claim asylum or anything about asylum. And in fact, when they then get to the border, you don't ask them questions, you don't do interviews, you just release them. Here's the Texas Monthly, not a notable conservative outlet, who reports, and I quote, "At no point does the app ask users, are you seeking asylum? Those arriving for the CBP-1 appointments are given no interviews, asked no questions about vulnerabilities that they may or may not have listed in the app or about why they're coming to the United States. They're simply released into the country," end quote. So rather than building a wall, Mr. Secretary, you have built Ticketmaster for illegal immigrants.
You are, Senator, you are
Miscategorizing
conflating programs. Let me
Well,
explain.
me
just
to you.
respond to
Let me
this. Is it
pivot.
true that they are given no interviews, asked no questions, and simply released into the country?
Let me explain to you
Let me
what
explain.
we announced on January 5th.
No, I want you to explain to me what's happening. I know what you
Oh,
announced.
so-
I read it to you.
So I will explain to you what is happening.
Are they given
Because-
interviews? Let's start with
because-
that. Are they given interviews?
We were previously experiencing
That's
almost-
starting to sound
almost-
like a no. Well, let's
almost
just hone in here. Mr.
almost-
Secretary, my time is very limited. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to drive to some clarity here.
but
Are
Senator,
they,
you're-
the Texas Monthly has reported that once illegal immigrants go on their phone and reserve their time to come to the border, once they use your concierge service that you've created for them, when they come, they are given no interviews. They are asked no questions about any vulnerabilities. They are simply released into the country. Is that happening?
Senator, you are mistaken. And if I may explain,
Are they given interviews?
if I may explain, individuals who seek parole under our January 5th program for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans are screened and vetted before they arrive at our border. That
Wait a minute,
is
wait a minute.
why-
No,
I just want to pause for a second here because this already like assumes that I guess declaring asylum from coming in from South America is something that the American people want. I don't know that that was always the norm, that you could just come in and declare asylum. And then it further assumes that whatever this mechanism of parole is, and I don't know the numbers on to what extent they're now using this new parole system, is something that has always existed. So, like, the conversation now already jumps past, well, did the administration expand asylum usages or the ability to use asylum? Did it expand this parole system? And now goes into both of those things are assumed. Asylum is normal, parole is normal, but you built an app that makes this parole system even easier. And by the way, I know that this is technical, but this is bringing the receipts that this is amidst Biden claiming, hey, I've been trying to do everything here. I just don't have the authority. And these are the specific things that they've done to make it easier.
no, they go on they go on the phone and they just reserve a time, and then they show up and they're given nothing. Listen to this. Even immigration advocates are amazed about this. Here, also from the Texas Monthly. Here's one immigration advocate whose first name is Orta. She says, that's the crazy part. Nothing in this new program requires you to actually seek asylum. Somehow, we've decided to punish those who arrive at the border without the app, who may be seeking asylum, but we just let in anybody who may or may not have any particular reason to seek asylum, so long as they've made an appointment on your Ticketmaster app. This seems crazy to me.
Senator, it's a complete mischaracterization of the program that we announced and are implementing
So how many people have used the app then?
that you are referring to. So if I can explain.
How many people have used the app?
So we had
Let's watch
a
another minute of this.
significant surge of Cubans.
How many people have
Haitians,
used the app?
Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans.
Mr. Secretary, you're here to answer my questions. How many people have used the app?
Tens of thousands have sought to make an appointment at the port of entry under our parole program.
Okay, good. How many have been admitted without an interview at the border?
You are again inserting a fact that does not belong in your question. So if I can,
that a
I will
great
get you
And
the precise.
I'm reading to you from public reports about how your own app works. You're just blanket deny. Actually, you're not quite denying it. You're saying that maybe we don't understand. Apparently, I don't understand. Texas Monthly doesn't understand. Immigration advocates don't understand. You're the only one who understands, yet you won't answer my question.